2, 1.
All right, what's going on, guys? It's Kyle here, and I've got Mr. Gamertag with me, and we got some splaining to do apparently, so that everybody's on the same page.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's the microphone.
So SF7B. So here the core of what we're going to talk about is Lefty leaving Painkiller already and Murka Durka coming, and how
Yes.
that came to be. So I guess I'll just start talking. Before we get into the reasoning, like Kyle was saying in a take that we never know quite how to handle this perfectly. Our default position was like, hey, we'll do this professionally and not really expose like all the conversations and details of what happened behind the scenes. That's kind of how we wanted it to be. And it
That's
just
the default position for me. It's like, well, if you don't say anything, then you can't say anything wrong or bad or misstep.
in,
Just
in
don't say
my
anything. I'll leave it at that.
in my head, it's the high road, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
mudslinging or anything. It's just like, hey, this is our new change. Get excited. Our new guest is going to be fantastic. Like that's how I want to handle these things. But that seems to happen roughly 0% of the time.
Yeah, it never ends that way. So everybody got into an uproar and they thought we were tricking them somehow. And it's like, how do you convince them that we're not tricking them? And they keep talking about like some sort of boy who cried wolf thing. And we've played some jokes on you guys before, one or two. We faked Wings' death, but that was over before the show was over. And then we faked the Nvidia thing, which was really a troll on Wings because we were teasing him a bit at the time.
Yeah, Wing skipped a show that he didn't have to skip, so we pretended we got the best sponsor we
Like
ever
we
had.
landed like a big sponsor, and we weren't going to cut him in. It was all like an inside joke to mess around with Wings and get his goat.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say here is we've done those two things, but for the most part, we don't know the correct way to make announcements and stuff like that. So I think somebody just made a subreddit post about it, and then the conspiracy theory started.
And
So
then
let's talk.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, what prompted us to actually make this video and share all the details was if somebody tweeted Lefty. Did you see the tweet, Kyle?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I hope I get it perfect, but it's really close to like, hey, was it about money? And he said, you must be really good at darts. And with that, it's like, all right, now we're off script. I didn't know it happened in less than a day. Like it was weeks before we broke about, the other host changes. And in the case of Redneck, like years. But with Lefty, it just gets faster and faster. So within a day, he started saying it was about money. Kyle, did you want to just keep talking?
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to get into like the nitty gritty and explain like the details?
I think that's fair. Like
Okay.
I just it's the whole
Well,
truth and nothing but the truth.
okay. So in doing the Patreon thing and moving everything forward, we had to break things into portions, and we had to assign roles for people. People had to have jobs and job descriptions because there's a lot of stuff to do, and there had to be compensation assigned for that. And
So
originally,
yeah, I was afraid you weren't going to go to this first. Our first idea was let's take this thing and we'll break it up 3 ways and we'll all be equal owners and we'll all be equal like partners in a little business that we spawn up around this thing. Before that, what we used to do is we'd take the ad money and we'd split it 4 ways evenly. Heather would get a piece. Lefty, Kyle, and I would all get the same, revenue from it. And when Wings was on the show, it was the same but split 5 ways. That was how we did it. Then when the Patreon thing came in and all this, we're like, we'll just continue to split this evenly. You know, yeah, we'll just continue to split this evenly, but among the three of us, among the people who make the show every week and like sort of do the Patreon thing. And that's
and the
that.
idea, and that seemed like the best way to do it, but Lefty didn't want to do that, and that was we didn't understand that. We didn't understand why he didn't want to be an equal partner, and he said many times that he felt like that what he wanted to be was a contracted employee of the show
Well,
because he didn't.
and his reasoning was he didn't want the opportunity. He didn't want a possibility of losing money. He didn't want a possibility of getting sued. Maybe some foolhardy person believes a painkiller already stat, and that somehow has somebody suing the show. He didn't want any liability, and he didn't want any conceivable chance.
Accountability, yes. It's
That
the coffers go empty, it comes out of our pockets.
Right. Yeah, he didn't want any of that. So what he basically wanted to be was a contracted employee that made money but could never possibly lose money or get sued or any of the other things
Which
that come with business ownership.
which is fine.
Yeah.
and we were cool with that. But on the payment side of things, he wanted to sort of have his cake and eat it too. He wanted to split all of the revenue, he wanted to take a chunk out of absolutely everything before anything was paid for, and still retain this sort of position as a contracted employee. And that's just not how contracted employees are compensated. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
And
we offered him a weekly salary that we thought was really fair. Should we give the number out? Nah, that's not. But we offered him. Go ahead.
We could say that when you calculate it up, like he was the highest paid person on the show.
Yeah,
okay?
he was easily the high.
Let me break it down to like just dumb numbers, just like single digit numbers. Like I was getting $2, Woody was getting $2, and Lefty was getting $3.
Not even
something like that.
Like this month, I'm losing money. Kyle's losing money, and Lefty took all of it and then some, so I had to come out of pocket to pay.
And now that's not, it wasn't a devious thing on his part. It's just the way that we had offered to set things up to pay him, and that still wasn't good enough. But he kept
threatening to quit. He threatened to quit twice. He threatened a work stoppage. Like, these were his negotiation tactics. He kept saying, all right, I'll walk away from the show.
It was hard to negotiate with him because it was difficult to find middle ground at times, because the conversations would go something like, well, this isn't something that's really negotiable here. And he's just like, well, it's a pleasure doing business with you. And it's like, we just started. Like, I feel like you're like a car customer that's like jerking my chain. Like every conversation, you felt like it could end with him walking away from everything. And you were almost afraid to ask him, if he'd handled, the responsibilities that were his, because he had also threatened to like stop work at one point until the LLC, like the contracts were signed. Like
he's like, I just won't be part of the show. I won't do any, like, one of his jobs was to upload the videos to Podbean. He's like, well, I won't be part of the show. I won't upload my videos to Podbean. I won't do this. I won't do anything. I'll cease all operations until I have a signed contract in my hand. And to me, it's like, isn't paying on time enough? But.
And while he said it wasn't a trust issue, I just don't understand what else it could be. It felt like he didn't trust us to like pay him his cash for that week's worth of work. And it was like, we've known you for 2 years, man. Like, don't you remember the beginning of this? Like we were happy, like splitting this 3 ways. Like, we're not trying to screw anybody over.
Yeah.
We wanted to set up something that was fair, and we couldn't come to an agreement on that.
Right. And by the way, he's been paid for years as an equal partner. Even though we started the show late, even though we kind of built this thing before he got here, we never really like mistreated him, which is typically how things go. Like, mistreat sounds rough, but hypothetically, if we had a big rock band, we're Metallica or something, and then we get a new guitarist, that guy doesn't instantly walk in and get an equal share of the profits. He's not the person that made Metallica.
Yeah, there wasn't like a freshman year or anything.
Yeah, he didn't have any freshman year. He didn't have any he just walked in immediately and earned as much as Wings, Kyle, and me. So,
is that all of it, or is there more?
I'm we've got all the. I mean, we had trouble. It got to be that like he had tasks, and we felt guilty about asking him to do the task because it seemed like every conversation resulted in him saying that he wanted to walk away from the show, and which is ultimately what happened. Like, when he was negotiating, there was some, I guess, confusion about how much he was getting paid, and actually sending the whole show into a loss, so that we could fund him. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you everything you ask for, and then, we'll just wrap up doing business. And he said, that sounds great. So I think, like, in my head, him being so willing to walk away and then jumping it at the first time I ever said it, that he wanted to go anyway. And I don't know why.
I think maybe he did too. He hadn't, we're planning the Six Flags trip that's coming up, and he had previously wanted to go on that, and I was, Skyping in the details to everyone, this is where we should stay. This is, we need to start getting flights in order and stuff. And he wasn't, I guess he didn't want to be part of that anymore. He didn't say it out loud, but
he stopped replying about that topic, but he'd like skip over that topic and reply to other stuff. And
that trip was purpose built for Lefty. That was, we wanted to start off with a bigger trip for the Patreon thing and do something, but we wanted to include Lefty in the trip. So it was like, let's sit down and find things that the three of us can agree on 100% that we could all do, 40 days from now.
These adventures are supposed to be things that subs look forward to, right? Some people have this notion that they're funding on vacations, and I can see where they come away thinking that when we're going down to Georgia to shoot guns and ride roller coasters. But, you know, no one thought that when it was the survival trip. And the reason that this one is kind of tame is that we wanted to be able to include Lefty. Lefty's ongoing deal was what to me felt really unfair, that he gets to sort of pick and choose which ones he wants to attend. Like, I'll do anything that's, you know, in America and not dangerous and not strenuous and not, you know, discomforting, you know, that not something that you have to endure discomfort. And then for all those ones that are really kind of, you know, what I guess passes for a business trip in our wacky life, he would just pass on those and stay at home. And that seemed unfair too. And you know, that wasn't the major stumbling point, but it was just like one more thing, like pick and choose which trips, you know, pick and choose only, cherry pick the easy trips, gets paid so much that everyone else takes a loss in this show. It went over the top.
And also the expenses wouldn't be coming out of his end of the at all. You know, he would be getting paid out of because he wanted to be an employee and not a partner. That means that he doesn't have to worry about the expenses. So the paperwork that he was like, you know, you have to get this paperwork done before I'll do any work. I'm like, well, shit. Well, that was $400 or $500, and you know that just comes out of me and Woody. Yeah,
$750.
It's expensive to form an LLC.
Yeah,
and you have to do that before you can have contracted employees. So
and you know, and of course, you know, he's not covering any of those expenses. That's, you know, that's an owner's problem. And you know, if we lose money, that's not his problem, right? He only makes money. And it just got to be so lopsided. And then I said, you know, hey, I'll give you everything you want, you know, if you want to walk away. And he's like, I'll take it, and I'm gone.
So
then
that sucked.
That sucked. But came the bright side. Murka Durka. Murka Durka is probably the most coveted guest we've had. People have asked, you know, what would happen if this guy, that guy, or whatever left. Murka was always the guy that we've wanted on our show for ages. Like, we've been eyeballing him. You know, he was previously like in college and prioritized, like I guess he was out doing crazy stuff on Friday nights all the time. He had a social life. Now, you know, he's going to be more available. And
yeah, and people they're like, in the past he has been less available, but we've talked to him, and I think we pretty much nailed him down 100% here. Like,
right.
we're gonna send him a microphone, get some mic talk going, get him game stepped up, and I think the show's gonna be different, and I think it in some ways it's going to be more exciting and better because Murka does a very, very good job. And I like Murka a lot. I've known Murka for years now, and
we've been in bed with him.
I think
there's a picture floating around somewhere.
Several times. There were running cameras when I was in bed with him. But but yeah, we got Murka Durka coming on as our new host, and I think that's going to be great. And
I think it's going to take the show a little toward the zany and away from the formality part. You know.
Yeah, and I bet we can get Murka Durka to go on a little trip with us.
I would guess. Now he's got a job, you know, so I can't come in on his behalf.
But if we schedule things, I think we can make
exactly. And that scheduling. So one of the ways that we were able to get Murka Durka more available is we were flexible on what night we record. So if you're a Patreon member and you get early access to the show, sometimes early access might mean Thursday night, and sometimes early access might mean Friday night, and that a lot of that depends on, you know, how Murka is able to like get shifts and transfer with people and things like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of an added. The $5 Patreon just got a little bit more valuable, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, if we can shift it to Thursdays more often, then they get a little before the Saturday upload. It just gets better. Yeah.
And that wasn't. We didn't really think about that going in. It just kind of became an added bonus when it was like, yeah, if we do Thursdays and Fridays and alternate, then Murka is going to be locked down almost all the time.
Right. Yeah, and alternate meaning, you know, pick the one that he can do.
Pick the one that's free.
But yeah, that's basically what happened. In my opinion, I think Lefty negotiated so hard that he killed the goose that laid the golden egg. You know, he took all the money, sent us into a loss, and you know, I think it had us looking for, you know, not just a new host, but you know, a new host that I think is going to be outstanding.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's the whole truth about this thing. I can't think of anything that's
yeah, that's
I feel like we've covered it. Yeah, just it. We've all seen Lefty play like kind of that, like a role that an attorney would play, and you know, as soon as Like it came to
That's
like
what
we were gonna
negotiations are like. It's like being in a courtroom. It's like you're not friends anymore. It's no fun.
that yeah. You know what? That's like I feel like that part of is left out. Like we haven't covered that. Um, I really like Lefty, and I think I will again. I'm a little sore right now, but like it was like, wow, are we really fighting over like our initial idea was just to split it three ways evenly because we were friends and we all were on the same show and like that was how we wanted to do it. And then like it turned into this thing that drained the emotional bank account and suddenly like I felt like we weren't even friends anymore and you can't have that on a show like this. You know, like yeah. So that like I don't know. Like it, I feel like I'm too old for my feelings to be hurt, but my feelings are hurt.
It,
Like
it,
you know, like I kind of in some ways lost a friend about this because he was so gosh darn hard nosed that like he literally took all the money this month and to put us at a loss. And future months, you know, may have gone the opposite way. You know, I don't know what his negotiation plan was for August, you know, but I wasn't looking forward to it. So,
yeah.
yeah. Well, you think we covered it?
I think so. I think that's pretty much everything. As one to say, I guess that's just about everything. Yeah.
Okay. So, so
So yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
for you
Like I
guys who
said,
are demanding on the PKA subreddit, reddit.com/rpka. If you were there today, you'd have seen tons of demands for transparency about this sort of thing, and you know we didn't want to do that. We wanted to just sort of not tell anybody anything. But you know, a quick scan at Lefty's Twitter timeline shows that strategy wasn't going to last.
yeah, and you guys felt like we were tricking you or trying to like do you
Weren't.
wrong way, but we're just trying not to hurt anybody's feelings and make anybody mad. We just want to make a show here and have fun.
Yeah.
It's a
So
real goal.
I guess I can stop winking on the subreddit if that makes you guys feel
Yeah,
better.
like no more winky faces. We promise.
Did you just wink too?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've ruined it all. Anyway, so yeah, now I feel like you guys are 100% up to date. You know the deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and my beard is freaking sexy.
Evil Woody coming soon.